Hi, and welcome back. In this lesson, what I want to do is I want to add some operational terms to our ITIL process skeleton. These operational definitions are in use in enterprises all over the world, I can guarantee you. This material is useful if you're doing the ITIL Foundation Exam. It's also great general knowledge if you work in IT. Let's get stuck in. All right, let's pick up then with where we were last time, and that's with this picture here. What we're going to do is look at the term event, incident, workaround, problem, known error, resolution, and change. And they correspond to the information generated by the processes you can see in the value stream or the skeleton that I've drawn below. Let's get started with event then. Now, an event is defined as a change of state of significance for the management of a component or a service. In other words, something has happened, the item has turned on, turned off, we've logged on, we've logged off, and we want to record that in a log somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and add event in, and that definition for you. Event, and while I'm writing out the definition, remember, change of state of significance. What I want to change of state of significance. All right, and this is in the life cycle of a component. Now, the key thing is that events come in three flavors. What we get is some informational events that tell us everything's fine. A backup completed, someone logged on. We use those to establish a baseline. Then what we have is when things are a little bit unusual, we might register what we call a warning event. And this is not unlike the white line in the middle of the road. You cross that, it generates a noise. You're now in the orange zone, if you like. You're now starting to stray away from what is considered normal, perhaps even safe, and course correction, or at least closer inspection, is warranted. And then we get into an exception state. Look, it's probably fair to say that crossing the line is actually an exception, but this is considered abnormal. I sort of meant crossing the line on the outside, venturing onto the hard shoulder, not crossing the middle line. An exception indicates something is abnormal, and it's at that point that some kind of further action is required, and that may take the form of an incident, problem, or a change, or all three. I'm going to go on to define those, but the bottom line is that something's gone wrong in the case of an exception, and we typically need some sort of human intervention. I call it the computer's gone sprawling, and we need some help. What happens then is we've generated the first of our informational states. And this is not unlike case management. There's a great book by Rob England, I'll put a link at the end, talking about case and standard. What's happening here then is like a medical case or a detective case. We've applied a practice or a procedure of event management, and what it's doing is it's generating information in the form of events, and some of those events lead us on to our next steps, like getting a breakthrough in a case, and so we can then move on to another stage. This is like, say for example, evidence gathering might be an example. All right, let's go and have a look then at an incident and the definition of an incident that follows on from our event. Now, our incident is some kind of disruption or degradation, but the key thing is it's unplanned. We do expect incidents to occur, especially if we're carrying technical debt. We have bugs and defects which all represent a risk. What they do is they manifest as an incident, and that looks like some kind of breakdown or disruption, or possibly degradation, running slow. Sometimes what happens is we have a primary, it breaks down, we fail over to the backup. Maybe the client or the user doesn't even know. It's all seamless, but we need to get that primary fixed. And so it's to a component or a service. And remember, not all events are incidents, only those exception ones, and incident isn't the only response. Now, the first thing we're looking for, remember, the purpose of the incident management practice is to fix it quickly. In this case here, the incident record is going to be a diary of all of our actions. First thing we're looking for is some kind of band-aid or trick to get us out of trouble. And this is hacking, patching, rebooting, band-aiding, and this is known as a workaround. And this is some way to reduce or eliminate the impact. In other words, make the pain go away, enable our users to keep doing work. They may be in some sort of degraded form, but as I say, this is classically known as a band-aid. And what happens is we'll come up with these workarounds in the course of our incident work, especially at the service desk dealing with people. This is what's going to happen at second and third level when we escalate. And that workaround then is like a next stage that we get to. And what we're doing is we're moving between these states by applying the practices below. It's not a given that we'll come up with a workaround. It's not a given from event that will go to an incident. But this is just a typical flow. What happens next then is quite interesting, and it's probably one of the least well understood practices in ITIL. And that's that we talked before about problem management being how to fix things permanently. In this case, what we're going to do then is, in response to either a single major incident, i.e. a failure in a critical service, or in response to a pattern of incidents over time. So there's a recurring set of disruptions. So for example, getting sick, going to the doctor repeatedly. Each time we've just been told to go home, take a Panadol. But after 2 or 3 times, say in a relatively short period of time, this is now looking suspiciously like there is something else going on. Essentially, problem management is a deeply technical practice run at those second and third level specialist areas, and it's where we do our root cause analysis and find out what's going wrong. This is where we, in software, go debugging, find out what the bugs are. This is in hardware where we do probes and traces and we go around sniffing on the network, trying to find out what's going wrong. When our workarounds, our band-aids, might be holding the fort, might not be, but really the level of pain and frustration has got to a stage where we need to do something about it. Let's add a problem in, and while I'm there, I'm going to talk to you about a known error. So our definition for a problem is the cause, or the root cause if you like, of one or more incidents. And it can be the potential cause. And what we mean by that is that you might have a bug that hasn't actually caused any trouble yet. You've discovered it during a check, or it's an anniversary bug, so it's like a date issue, but it's the cause of one or more incidents there. Typically that one is a big one, typically the more is a pattern or a trend. We can do reactive problem management where we respond to incidents. We can do proactive where we do trend analysis, where we go looking for trouble. Key thing here is that this often starts out as a complete mystery where we've got murder, we might have a body there, that's the incident. There were certain events and signals leading up to that murder. We've now got a problem where we want to find out who's done the murder, and it might very often look like a complete mystery. What happens then is we undertake that root cause analysis until we get to a stage where we're confident we now know more about it. For example, we might have a suspect. And in this case, what we say is a known error is a problem for which we have finished our analysis. I'm going to say with analysis complete. That's that root cause analysis. And what we're hoping is that we've either got a root cause, or we should have a root cause, and ideally we've got a workaround. And that workaround now becomes the official way that we will get out of trouble if this thing pops up again. All future incidents will get matched to this known error, assuming that, for example, the service desk and the tech staff are using that known error database as you've seen below. There's no guarantee we're going to get to a known error status. Every time we log a problem, we're going to prioritize them, and some of them will be prioritized down and will not get the analysis done. Even those that are prioritized high and warrant the analysis may never actually get back to the known error status. We never find out what's going on, right? We might just have to ice it until another incident occurs to give us a clue or another breakthrough. For example, like a cold case in a murder. We might have a possible suspect, but we just haven't been able to catch them, for example. Often what happens is the permanent solution to a known error is to change something, is to add something in, to remove it, to modify to the existing service, to the product, like the software patch or changing a card. Let's go and add that definition of a change in now. And as we discussed before, this is the domain of the change management practice, bringing structure to how we do this and making sure that we're consistent, we're managing risk, we're communicating. In fact, logging a change request is a very powerful step, like a lot of these are. It creates visibility, it enables us to control what's going on. The change definition I've got here is the actual change. And often, as I mentioned before, this is the resolution to the problem. And once we've applied that change, if we've been successful, the incidents will not occur again. We've eliminated that known error, we've paid down some technical debt. These are core operational definitions. Problem and incident, very poorly understood in general incidents in the industry. So spend some time getting your head around those, see if you can't understand what the difference is. The ITIL 4 best practice framework has tweaked this a little bit, but essentially it's the source of these definitions, and it's also the source of much of the language used in the industry, what the tooling's based on, and what your colleagues will be talking and using in meetings and discussions. All right, thanks very much. I hope those definitions are useful. This lesson actually forms part of what you could use in an ITIL Foundation course. I've enjoyed teaching you how to manage more tech. Tune in for my next lesson, and I'm Dean Toohey. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. If you like this video, then hit the like button and subscribe. Remember to hit the bell notification so you'll be updated when I release a new lesson. And feel free to share this lesson with anyone you think who might get value out of it. I've added some cards to the next lessons you might want to watch after this one. Feel free to ask me any questions or leave a comment below, along with any ideas you have for future videos. Thanks very much for watching. I look forward to chatting to you more soon.